Asian on. So welcome you now to tonight's weekly one-off with the RAF Motorsports channel. First time we've kind of gone live on the channel. Definitely the first time for me because I've never done any commentating or streaming before. So let's see how it goes. It's going to be an interesting night. We've got the street stocks at the Southern Motor Speedway. We're doing about a 16-second lap at the minute, so it's a fairly short lap. But we'll see how we get on. We're just in qualified currently. Looking at James King is our lead driver at the moment. That's shortly followed by Chris Slater. Oh, Craig Durrant's actually gone quicker. And Craig's actually gone quicker than him, so still in there. Still 2.5 minutes left to qualify for this first race. It's going to be a 15-minute sprint race around this track. So 15 minutes, we're going to get quite a few laps in on the 16-second lap. Hopefully you can hear me okay and the stream's working. If you get any issues, you want to ask me a question, drop it in the chat. I'll see if I can get back to you. We're just watching Matt Bannon at the moment. Let's go James King. See if we can James. I used to think oval racing was nothing like track racing until I got iRacing just a few months ago, and you know what? It's tricky. It's different to track racing, to road racing, but it's definitely an art, especially in these cars. They're producing about 375 brake horsepower. These cars, all fitted batteries, and they're very lightweight. Just want to turn on any opportunity. Oh, there we go. Case proven. Case proven just there. Show you that one's just got speed up if I do there. Hopefully it made it. Got a couple of cars in the walls. I think that's going to be the story of the night tonight. A few cars in the walls tonight. You do get a bit of a draft, but on these shorter ovals, like this one, only 16-second lap, the ovals, the draft isn't as pronounced as it is on the big Daytona type ovals. We've got a range of skills in tonight. So we've got James, who's currently an A-class iRacing oval racer. We've got a couple of B-class racers, Matt Banyard, a couple of D-class racers, Cy, Chris Slater, Cole, and in the rookie section we've got Darren Burris and Michael Clough. That just means that they haven't spent time in iRacing doing this track. So if you're not familiar with the iRacing rating system, the safer you are, the better your license you get. So if you keep collecting people, then your license gets progressively worse. Oh, nice big spin there from James. Oh, all right, here we go. So we're gridding up. Let's see who's on pole. We're going to be behind the safety car to start, I think. So James King lines up on pole, shortly followed by Craig Durrant, just 0.1 of a second behind. Chris Slater, Darren Burris. Then we've got Matt Banyard, Cy Devine, Cloughie, and Cole Scott. There's only a second between them, so it should be some fairly close racing tonight. Like I say, it's anybody's guess who's going to win this race, really, because there are so many things that can go wrong. Let's get rid of this grid. Yeah, we're going to start behind the safety car. Takes us around with a nice easy lap. And then, so I say an easy lap, it's only going to take about 20 seconds before we're underway, such as the length of the lap. Normally, a pace car lap takes a good while longer. So let's focus on James. See how James gets away. Is he going to hold the pack up a little bit? Oh no, we've got 2 laps behind the safety car. Sorry, my apologies. So the 2 lines on the safety car, you can get as close as you want without bumping the car in front. And then when the safety car pulls into the pits, we've got a green light, cars in the pits, and James is away. Again, we're away for 15 minutes of racing. Oh, we've already got a spinner. Okay, he's back on track. It's okay. We're all good. James is pulling away nicely. James being the A-class oval racer, I would expect this to happen. However, as soon as he can't get on the back markers, this is going to get interesting. All over the place at the back there. So let's go down the back a little bit. Some interesting liveries going on to that. We've got an Apple one there, the old school Apple rainbow. Colin in the Pepsi. So James, Chris, and Michael Clough were out last night in the British Sim Racers Championship, racing MX-5s around Donington. They did quite well actually. First time we raced in the British Sim Racers Championship, and we got out okay. In our nice shiny new RAF livery. Let's go with Sai. There's some action, so he's following quite close. Darren's quite close. So let's jump in the cockpit with Darren. See how we get on. Do a couple of laps. So you see, nice back corners on these. Not a lot of straight to get your speed up. See what sort of speeds they're doing. I just got the master of my overlay. So let's put speed miles per hour. So what sort of speeds are we doing? Unfortunately, I can't quite see that. Hopefully you can see that at home. You see he's getting a bit of a draft there behind the number 4 car of Chris Slater. He's also getting a bit of a draft off Craig, but James is quite clear out the front. I'm not sure what the draft is on these cars. In the MX-5 that we normally race, the draft is about 1.5 seconds before you start feeling it. It looks probably like these are very similar. You see James there is getting up on back of the back markers. Let's jump to the TV cameras. So yep, so he's around the back marker of Colin. Colin's doing a nice steady race. It's not about necessarily the fastest thing these things, it's about keeping it on the track. Now in iRacing you do get what's called a fast repair. If you put it in the barriers, you can get a tow back to the pits, which usually takes a couple of minutes. And once you get in the pits, you can do fast repair, and you're back out again. If you can drive to the pits, a fast repair takes this instant. But you only get one of those in a race. So if you use that in the race once, then the next time you get into the barriers, it could be race ending, because it could be 10 minutes or so. Especially on a race of this sort of level. So we're looking like we're going to be doing about 57 laps. Let's go up in the other side again. So James is pulling out a nice lead here. He's actually got a 9-second lead now over second place. Sorry, a 3-second lead over second place, which is quite a healthy little lead he's got there. Let's jump in the cockpit. See how he's getting on. So you see there he's catching, slowly catching the car in front. B. Catches up. That'll be Matt Banyard out in front of him in the 25 car. Just about seeing 25 in the front, yeah. Oh, he's gone wide. Oh, he's hit the wall. Oh, disaster for James. Disaster. He's just lost the drag off Matt Banyard there. So, what's his gap back to Craig? 2 seconds. That might put him back into trouble. Let's have a look. See how Craig's getting on behind. See, it's so easily. It's like building up a big lead out the front, but it's so easy to touch that barrier. So easy to just drift out wide and take a bit of paint off the far side and slow yourself right down. He's picking up the toe again off of Banyard. If it's the first time joining us on the stream and you're wondering what RAF Motorsports is all about, we were set up early this year. A little bit of pinging there, such as the iRacing. Sometimes you get this on iRacing, so because we're reliant on people's networks, sometimes if the network is a little bit slow, they will disappear off the track. It's nothing to worry about, they're still there. It just makes it a little bit hard to race against them because you can't always see where they are. But yeah, so if you're new to RAF Motorsports, what's it all about? Well, we set up early this year and we're the 7th discipline of the RAF Motorsports Association. We wanted to get together to kind of bring together all the people across the RAF who race sims, whatever you race, and we wanted to get you together, get people together and race just like this in all sorts of things. Now we've recently just come off the back of the electronic Armed Forces Race Championship. There is an in real life Armed Forces Race Championship. It was set up by Chris Slater, who's in tonight, to oh, this is getting interesting because Craig has actually caught up to James. He's now a second and a half behind James, so this is getting a bit interesting. Chris Slater is not far behind him. So is James starting to shore with his tyres a little bit? He's dropping back. Now, did he pick up some damage when he hit the wall? Let's go to let's see how we get on with Craig. See if we can go cockpit. So he is catching him nicely. We've not had any major incidents yet, which is surprising. No real big people in the wall. A couple of Michael Clough did a little bit of bumping. Let's go to Cloughie. Cloughie seems to be picking up a few penalty points. Oh, he's off. He's off. Where's Cloughie off? He's spun. Oh, he's Lightning McQueen. There we go. Good old Lightning. That's lost him a few places. So he's down a lap. Let's see if we can just jump back into replay. I'm not sure if I can now. I think I might have left it too long. I think I left it too long. Apologies for that. So next time I'll try and be on the ball a bit more and get you the replay of that. Like I say, it's my first time streaming. I'm a little bit new to it, so bear with me. Bear with me. I seem to have lost my timing screen. Slightly frustrating. Never mind, I've got the one on the screen. So, which means we can't necessarily do a replay at the moment, I don't think. So, no, we're a bit strict for a replay. That's okay. A line of McQueen with a smiley face in the front. So let's go back to see Cray. Oh, and Cluffy's lost it again. See what I mean about these cars? They're so light on the back end that 180 and back in the inside lane. But he's going to be going another lap down for that one. They're so easy to lose these things. These great big black tyres, but they're so powerful. They're so light. You just light at the back end really easy. Really careful with the throttle. And that's the art to these things. That's the art to this kind of racing. You just feather in the throttle a little bit. I drove these last week. We're in Charlotte, which is a much bigger speedway, but it was carnage. Let's just say that. 30 cars on track, it was carnage. It's oh, he doesn't like that corner, does he? There's that corner every time, so coming around, just coming around there at the out of turn 2, or turn 1, sorry, out of turn 1, he just seems to light at the back end a little bit. Right, so where's James Kingalio? James seems to have pulled out quite a considerable lead. Let's have a look at it. So there he's all in his own. It's probably because he's got nobody around him. So he's pulled out a lead of 6 seconds out on James there. Great, that's great. I think we're going to go into it. Oh, Clough is in the pits. So look, he's got some damage. Is he going to get that instant repair? It's not looking good for Cluffy. It's not looking good for him. That's a long time in the pits. Yeah, I think Cluffy's out this race. Never mind. Let's jump back to some action. We don't want Cluffy there, do we? He's sat in the pits, he's revving his engine. So James is comfortably in the lead now, 7 seconds out front. Darren Berris is 5 seconds behind him. Chris Slater's getting a bit close to Darren. Now Darren and Chris are actually in real life races. So they race, Chris has got a Peugeot 306 with a quite tasty engine in there. And Darren's got a Lotus 7 with a V8 in it, a Rover V8, which is tremendously powerful. And they race quite often throughout the year at Donington and the UK tracks. They've taken to this kind of iRacing and on-track racing, obviously because of COVID stopped racing last year, but they've actually started enjoying it, and this is something a little bit different. On the back of EAFC, where we're doing UK tracks and the MX-5s, something to keep it quite level over there. We thought we'd have a bit of fun in these. Matt Banyard's creeping up behind Chris as well. So there's a little bit of a battle here. Oh, who's that? Who's that? Slater's spun it. Slater has spun it. Where's he gone? There he Oh, he's reversing onto the racing line. That's not a good thing to do. He's back on. He's well, that's dropped him back off of the back of Darren. He's definitely not going to be battling for third place for the podium there. Although Banyard is still quite way back. So they've got 5 cars on the lead lap now. Cy Devine and Colin Scott are a lap down, and Cluffy's also a lap down. Is Cluffy out of the pits yet? Let's have a look. Yeah, he's back on track, so he must have picked up a bit of a repair. Maybe he forgot to turn his tyres off. And had to change his tyres. Or put some fuel in. So we're at 51 off 56 now. James has pretty much wrapped this up. But for race 2 we do have another 5-minute qualifying session. Another 15-minute race, so it could be enemies. It looks like Slater's had another little off there. And Matt Banyard has actually overtaken Slater. Who's that? Who's that in the wall? That is outside line in the black car. He doesn't like driving in the black livery, says Si. So yeah, I was saying about RFE Motorsports, we set up earlier this year to bring together, and Slater's spun again in the background there. Is he going to get away on yet? So the beauty of this track with only 8 cars on there is that we are avoiding each other quite well. Normally if you see some smoke, cone, I didn't like the cone there. I don't think the cones are anything to you, Chris. I think it's not very nice. So coming up for James then, let's watch James over the line for the win. He's got a he's really comfortable lead there over Darren. And here he comes onto his last lap. Let's go for his last lap. Oh, car 40 in front has just spun. Darren's spun in front of him. So Darren was just about staying on the lead lap, but unfortunately lost it just at the end there and dropped a lap down. So James very nearly lapped the whole field. In fact, he did lap the whole field there. Let's see how he finished up. So we got James King out the front. Darren just a lap down, only just a lap down. Craig Durant picks up third. Matt Banyard. I hope we got some donuts. Let's go. So look at these donuts then. A few donuts there. Matt Banyard in 4th. Chris Slater in 5th after a few spins in the final laps. Cole Scott 7th. Michael Ruff 8th, and Sidey right at the back there. Sidey must have had some issues towards the end there because he was running in about 5th place. So, but yeah, you go. Like I say, there you go. Apart from James out the front, who's our star of the night. Everybody else picked up some issues there, and it really is anybody's game in these super stocks. Looks like we've got a bit of argy-bargy. Let's take the results off there and see what's going on. Oh, bit of Robbins racing, I think, there, nudging people back to the pits. Okay, so that's the end of that session. I think what we're going to do now is jump into qualifying 2. So we'll just take a short break and I'll be back.